Good afternoon. I'm Bob Brokaw with Gwinnett Woodworkers Association, and today we're going to talk about the DeWalt 788 scroll saw. In front of me here I've got one that I've prepped kind of like a cooking show, where we've peeled the covers off so that you can actually see what's going on inside one of these things. And we're going to start off by showing you what moves here. And I will take you on a guided tour. To begin with, back here in the back, we've got an AC motor with permanent magnets. That motor is hooked up to a variable frequency drive board in the bottom of the machine. Coming out of the motor is an eccentric shaft. The movement on the eccentric shaft causes the shaft to go around in an ellipse. That's what causes the motion. There's a number of motion transfers to come all the way out to the front to make the blade go up and down. First item of interest here is there's a connecting rod here that transfers motion to this vertical rocker arm at the back of the machine. That transfers motion front to back, which then causes the rocker to pivot and transfers that motion to the front. It then operates two other rocker arms at the front to cause the blade to go up and down. So this is what is going on inside the scroll saw that you can't see when you're busy cutting wood. And it gets a little more exciting here when you crank the speed up on the saw. Okay, when I stop the saw, one of the things that DeWalt is rather proud of is the fact that most of the vibration is removed. Ordinarily, with an eccentric shaft like this, it would cause a great deal of vibration. But what they've done is they've put a counterweight on that shaft. You know, not much of a weight, but it's just enough to keep the vibration to an absolute minimum. That, along with counterweights on these rocker arms at the front. So this rocker arm and the bottom one up here are the exact same casting, so they've got the same form factor. Ordinarily, if you start taking covers off of a scroll saw, the unit is going to get rather wiggly in a hurry. On the saw, I told you that you take the covers off and things get kind of wobbly. The reason being that this is the first cover that has to come off, and in order to get that off, you have to take both of these bolts out of this foot on the front, which then allows this foot to flop completely free, and it also breaks the integrity of the second cover here between the front and the rear, which causes the center part to be somewhat floppy. To accommodate that, what I usually do is take one of the screws that comes out of here and put the nut back on there. That is enough to secure this cover to the foot. Can't do that yet with this one because this cover is still on here, and what you need to do is get it off so you can expose that hole, or expose the bolt that goes through that hole. So once you take this side cover off, sometimes it needs to be coaxed a little bit with a screwdriver. I will show you that when we disassemble the other saw that's in the background here. But anyway, once you get that loose, one of the first things I'd recommend you do is put a bolt through here. I usually use some large nuts for spacers, or you could use a socket. But I use a large nut, run the run the original bolt that went through there down. Similarly, with the bolt that comes out of this hole in the cover, you need to put that one back in here to keep the upper arm on. Otherwise it will come loose and develop a mind of its own. The last major thing that needs to be dealt with is when you take this cover off. The cover itself is the part that holds this vertical rocker assembly on. So what you need to do is put a bolt back in here. So there's basically 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that you put in there that will put the whole integrity back together again to allow you to do what I was doing here, to be able to run the saw with the covers off. Obviously, when you've got this back cover off, there is a line voltage present on that board in there, so you want to keep your hands out of that. Okay, I think with that we will move on to the disassembly process of how we get this saw prepped like this one, and I'll show you why.